Hello and welcome to Dice Masters United. I'm Spug.
I'm Ben.
I'm James.
And I'm Peter.
Coming up in this episode,
we're continuing our focus on the Dark Phoenix Saga set and debating which are the best versions of some of the new characters.
We'll be looking ahead to the next Two Team Takedown online tournament and making some predictions about which teams will rule the rules.
And we'll be revealing the super rare from the Dark Phoenix set that you're most excited about getting to the table.
All that and more in the latest episode of Dice Masters United.
Excellent. So any of you who has been with us for the last few weeks will have sat through, enjoyed maybe our epic rundown of all the cards in the Dark Phoenix Saga expansion. We went through 152, I think, if I remember correctly, over the last 4 episodes. Commons, uncommons, rares, and then super rares and basic action cards. And now we want to discuss the, in some cases, slightly tricky issue of which is the best version of some of these characters. It wasn't something we really had much time to delve into when we leapt through each of the rarities previously. So now that we've gone through all of them, we thought we'd pick out basically 10 of the most kind of interesting in terms of having a variety of different abilities and interesting things that they can do. And we wanted to just debate which one is going to be the best. So we'll just work through some of these in alphabetical order. And the first one that we've decided to pick out is Beast. Now, there are 4 versions of Beast, and they're all kind of slightly interesting in one way or the other. Which one are we plumping for as the best? Ben, I'll come to you first. Maybe you want to just recap what some of them do.
Well, I think they're kind of in a pair, or 2 pairs, I suppose. The common and the rare are a 2 cost and a 3 cost, both with Overcrush. The super rare gets a little bit of a buff when you have an active psychic die.
Yeah.
Whereas the common doesn't. When the uncommon and rare both have Founder, and both basically prep dice from your bag when Beast or various other things attack. Yes. I am not too much of a fan of the overcrushing ones. I think there are better ways in set to do this kind of similar thing, the Psylocke in particular. But the other 2 have me interested, and I'm wondering which will be better. I'm thinking probably the rare, just because it's cheaper at 2 cost. Although the first one you purchase has to be 3 cost anyway. Thinking about maybe the Founder. So the added benefit of the uncommon is that other Founder dice get to prep dice as well. But I'm not that much of a fan of any of the Founder dice really, apart from this Beast.
Yeah, there's not much. Peter, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a bit of the issue, because if there were other really interesting cheap Founder characters, then the uncommon might be good, but I think I prefer the rare, because you can just stick that on a team on its own and he'll do his thing, no problem. And the other one you have to build around. Yes.
Yeah, if you're going for a Founder-based team and you want some prep and maybe a bit of mutant research program, whatever it is, the basic action that keys off Founder die, having 2 Founder dice in the field, then you could go with that. But I think you might be right. James, thoughts?
I couldn't agree more.
The thing is, I think the problem is that the Beast is the cheapest Founder. So if you're spending 3 to get the uncommon Beast, then he's still the one you're going to load up on to do the prepping when a Founder die attacks.
Yeah.
So you're better off just going for the rare one. It is interesting, that kind of extra text where the first one you buy costs 1 extra. I don't know how much that will put people off. Because you can't do something. It doesn't seem like a lot, but actually, if you look at something like Clayface, it means that on turn 1 you can't buy 2 of them because you have to buy the first one for 3.
True, yeah.
Unless you're going second.
Unless you're going second, yeah. It's just a little bit awkward. But after you buy the first one, then load up on a bunch of 2 costs.
Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, I suppose the other reason you might want to do a 3 cost, maybe the super rare is you use something like Kitty Pryde to maximize the discount where she gives you 2 off.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a stupid reason, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, with so many X-Men characters in this set, she could be making something of a comeback. For not just for your
she's great. Yeah.
Jubilee team, where you try to buy all the Jubilees and attack with them. So are we plumping for the rare as the best one? Do we?
I think we're going to really like the common though, just the Overcrush straight up.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a prevalent ongoing thing, whereas the Psylocke is like a when fielded. Just the fact that it's ongoing, and then Overcrush is pretty big.
Yeah, and with like the cable, the rare cable that doubles the attack, the printed attack of your
it makes it
attacking
a
dice.
4, 6.
6, yeah. With Overcrush for a 2, it's pretty nice, isn't it? I think I would agree. I think I really like the prepping ability of the rare on his own when you just load up on those rather than having to rely on others. So let's go with the rare, shall we? And then
that was an easy one. That's a softball.
That was exactly, yeah. But now we already get into far more complicated territory by going to our old friend Dave Ken. It can only be Dave. James, what are your thoughts on this particular nut?
I'd like to put a plea out to Truby, because when I went to find this in the team builder, I typed in Dave and it didn't come up. So
what?
if you could just put in an alternate like pseudonym for him or David Kenneth, that would be
hilarious.
Yeah.
So what have we got? There's a 4, a 5, and a 6 cost. The 6 cost is the zombie Magneto one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That cancels everything rare. With a purchase cost of 3 or less, yeah.
Yeah. And the 5 cost, which is the rare, when Deacon attacks, prep a die from your used pile, which is the same as the beginning of the common one, which costs 1 less.
Yeah.
But rare has the additional text. While as a Deacon die in your used pile, you take no more than 7 damage during an opponent's turn, and further damage dealt to you is reduced to 0. So, I remember talking about that. That was pretty interesting.
It is.
I would probably struggle to get that there at the right time, but okay. And as we said back then, I think just sit back and wait a turn, and I'll kill you next time. And the 4 cost uncommon, which we haven't mentioned, is. If you take combat damage this turn, you may use an action die from either player's used pile. I was least excited by that. I know other people feel differently. When attacks prep a die is the same as the beast, isn't it? So that's not terribly exciting. So for me, the most interesting ones are the rare and the super rare, and I would struggle to use the rare effectively. So I would plump for the super rare because I think that's quite. No, I probably wouldn't. In all honesty, do you know what? I probably wouldn't play any of them on my teams, but it is an interesting choice. So.
I love the methodical way you worked through that, James, and you reached a logical conclusion at the end. It was like...
Not a smashy face guy, is Dave.
No.
I will say, you do forget how good that super rare is. That zombie Magneto effect. I was playing Jason Chera.
It is good.
And he did... Yeah, he had it, but he had it on his team. He didn't even buy it, but I was already thinking, I need to rush through to my more expensive dudes so I have someone on the field who can, not be blank.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So even having one of your team affects you. Yeah.
Mind games.
It is. Peter, are you drawn to the tinkerer's dream, shall we say, in the form of the uncommon that enables you to use an action die randomly? Is that your preferred one, or are you more...
No, it is too complicated to get that to work.
The timing window is very strange.
Yeah,
yes.
First you need to have a useful action die in your use pile, because you can't depend on your opponent.
Yeah.
And then you have to force your opponent to attack you.
Yeah.
Because you have to take combat damage. And then they have to have no static field or something to pull it back. And then there's no action die that makes all that trouble worth it at this time.
I mean,
I believe
there are damage dealing action die like Betrayal and Power Bolts back now. So there are potentially uses for this, even something like a Thrown Brick. But yeah, the
Delayed blast fireball.
Is too weird.
A delayed blast fireball would be fun, wouldn't it? If you could just
wouldn't though, because it'd be
wipe out.
It's continuous.
Because that happens after action is dealt. Damage is dealt. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that would be weird, wouldn't it?
I want the rare. I want to. Out of these, I think I'm going for the rare because I want to try and work out how I can keep it in the use pile effectively.
Yeah.
I think this is a good one to practice with.
Yeah.
Just practice manipulating your use pile.
I think with Clayface, that can be a massive help, though, in terms of keeping it in your use pile, because you can take it out of your use pile during your turn. Then you can prep using Atlas or Villainous Pact or whatever to get everything else out of your use pile and refresh your bag, so that then it doesn't go back into your bag on the following turn. I think if you could probably keep it in your turn if things rolled well for you and you were managing your bag correctly. Then I think you could actually probably keep it in your use pile for quite a few turns.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, I think I'd probably vote for the super rare just because it is so strong. And it just affects so much stuff. If you can
probably the best one is the super rare.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I think both of them could really ruin my day because that rare is like if you're playing Orbital Strike and someone has that rare in their use pile, you're gonna cry. And that's super rare. A lot of my favorite cards are 3 or less, so that would also make me cry. Yeah. So don't play Dave Ken.
No. Okay, so we are mixed on that particular one. Should we move on to Dark Phoenix? Peter, do you want to give us your thoughts on which one of these little beauties you think is the best?
I really do like that rare. It says when an opposing character die damages Dark Phoenix, she deals that much damage to each opponent.
Yeah.
So just have to find a way of getting someone to deal her a lot of damage, and you can deal that damage right back to your opponent.
Arch Nemesis.
For example, or I suppose
Force Attack.
Confront the Mighty would also work, that sort of thing. And I always really like that Jocasta.
Yeah.
That's a little easier to trigger because she would trigger off of any damage, but that would also easier to shut down because they could just ping her and then they would just take the ping, and now you can control it better. It is a 7 cost though. But
you're gonna play it because it's global anyway, so
yeah, the global is there, so and you can use the global to discount her.
Yeah.
So the global, you're gonna want the global anyway, and I would combine it with this one.
Yeah, I would agree. I really like this. I think it's great fun.
The dream is to force block 2 God Catchers.
Yeah, exactly. And win in
2 God Catchers have to block, you attack with Dark Phoenix and they cry.
Or just the one, and then you Jerry Lawler it.
Jerry Lawler, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's even better, yeah.
That would be hilarious. But, that's really cool. Yeah, so force attack, force block, all that kind of, all that fun is really interesting. And obviously, you can get kind of double bubble in a way out of her, can't you, with our Arch Nemesis or Confront the Mighty action thrown in there to make 2 characters do damage to each other. There's lots of ways. I think she's great, and obviously with the inbuilt discount, that's fantastic. Ben, I think you disagree, don't you, here on
a little bit. I mean, I do think that rare is very good, and I think probably if you were to ask most people, because I think everyone's going to run this card on some form of team they play.
Yeah,
I think most people will go for the rare if they have it. But I don't think you'd be shortchanged to either put your common or the uncommon on your team, really.
What do they do?
So the uncommon first, I think it's the weakest, probably. It has an ability that KOs a Shi'ar character or X-Men character, which isn't very interesting.
Yeah.
But the interesting part is when it attacks, it deals 2 damage to your opponent, which can rack up pretty quick. We've seen this ability on like Black Widow, Sarina. And other characters like that, Cheetah, which did 1 damage.
She was a 2 cost though, wasn't
she? Yeah. So it's a bit different, yeah. So that's why this is the weakest one, but it's still nothing to sniff at. But the common, I think, is particularly interesting for me. So when Dark Phoenix costs 1 less to purchase if your opponent has an X-Men character on their team, which I think is actually going to be more crucial, especially in the early days of Dark Phoenix beta. I think people are going to play X-Men a lot. And they don't have to be active characters. They just have to be character cards on their team, which is really good. So yeah, I think that you're going to be able to buy her for significantly cheaper than her 7 cost. Even if you get her down to a 5 cost, she's good because her secondary ability is when fielded, KO target character die. If it's an X-Men character die, deal your opponent 4 damage. This is not just your opponent's characters, it could also be yours. So if you're running it with something like Kitty Pryde, which discounts X-Men, or even if you're running it with the Global that makes characters X-Men, you can kind of rack up, and that 4 damage is pretty good.
That's radicalization, isn't it?
Radicalization level,
that you can give the X-Men ability. Now, just so we're clear, on the purchase cost, the text says Dark Phoenix costs 1 less to purchase if your opponent has an X-Men character on their team.
So you don't think it's stats?
No, I read that as if they have, it's a yes or no answer.
Yeah, I think
if
right,
is it's a logic gate.
Okay, so you get it for a 6 rather than anything more than that.
Yeah.
But you couldn't do that with that global that you just mentioned, right? Because it has to be a character rather than and that just affects dice. I think.
No, you can do the secondary bit with the radicalization global.
You
can make one of your characters an X-Men or one of your opponent's characters an X-Men and then KO it when you field Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
To deal 4 damage, which is a big chunk of damage.
It certainly is, You do that 5 times.
So what I'm saying is, if you don't have the rare in your packs, the common is a good substitute.
Yeah, for sure. James, which way are you leaning?
Oh, the rare without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, having to field something with a fielding cost of potentially 5 times. It's good. It's good at all, but the rare. I'd like to see the stats on the 2 Team Takedown teams. I reckon they'll be exclusively rares. Let's see, shall we?
Yeah.
The Deadpool, though, if you have the rare Deadpool on level 2, it's free to field, so don't forget that.
Oh, yes, that is the power card in this set, lest we not forget.
Well, speaking of spoilers, there's another card coming up that may or may not make your stuff cheaper to field.
Okay, there we go.
But that one still exists, doesn't it? The one that's...
it's still it's still around.
Yeah.
Work that riddle out, listeners.
Okay, shall we move on to Emma Frost? Who wants to... Ben, do you want to talk a bit about Emma Frost and see which one you think is
sure. So
your favourite?
Again, we have a pair, I guess. The uncommon and the rare do very similar things, and they're both 5 costs. So at the start of your opponent's attack step, you have to basically do something to your opponent's dice. Basically re-roll some of them. And then the common is very different. It gives you a psychic dice +1 and +1 attack +1 defense, and they gain the Hellfire affiliation.
Yeah.
I think probably the common one is the most useful, although the uncommon and the rare are much more intriguing.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting timing window. Probably the uncommon is more useful generally because the rare only rerolls fist character dice, right?
Yeah.
Which is less... it's more specific, sorry. So the uncommon, I think, is generally better.
Yeah. And they clarified, didn't they, exactly how the uncommon was going to work. James, do you remember the clarification they made on that?
I think
the attack step happens no matter what.
Yeah.
That's
what. So what's interesting about it is, you kind of force an attack step anyway.
Yeah.
Even if that
if they decide to attack.
Yeah.
And then lose the character that was attacking.
Then they have to attack
still
with
an
something
attack
else.
step, and you still have the global window.
Yeah.
Then they also have to attack with something else then, because they have to fulfill the function of attacking.
They do, but if they have nothing else to attack with, then you still get a global window.
Okay. Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
So I think probably the uncommon is the one I'm going to try and mess around with. Although I think the common one is much more generally useful.
Yes, I would agree. James, what are your thoughts?
I must be spoiled on sidekick buffers because they're all 4 in this set because I was having a look. There's an Iceman as well, I think. And I'm not paying 4 for a psychic buffer. I'm sorry, I'm spoiled on sort of Green Goblin at 3.
That is
and
Angel.
Well, I'm still there, I'm afraid. So 4 for no, that doesn't excite me. I'm sure it is very useful, but the middle one, the same one is very interesting. As Ben says, that the rare is too limiting.
Yes,
although it could be devastating against certain teams.
Sure, but the new timing window is nice. I like that. And that doesn't apply to the common at all. So that's all.
That is quirky.
Uncommon,
Peter,
please.
Peter, what are you plumping for on this occasion?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the +1/+1 on a forecast many times before. It's not that interesting, and I really like the uncommon because it brings something new to the game, and it can be really annoying. No doubt.
And you love nothing more than being really annoying.
Like that. I don't like being annoyed. I like annoying other people.
I suppose the success of the common one will depend on how useful the Hellfire affiliation is. There's a couple of other things that mess around with that affiliation. So much in the same way was it Malekith in the Guardians of the Galaxy set, the Thor set, which gave everything villains, which is much more useful than just Hellfire.
For sure. Yeah.
I
mean, you would imagine that.
Time, I mean, there's the Magneto, but he's expensive too. So it's expensive to make work.
Do you think that when the House of, what is it? The House of
M?
M?
X?
Yes. House
is that going to happen?
The House of whoever it is. The House of X's.
Arrival sometime this year, I believe.
I thought that had been sort of folded into this set. That's what it felt like.
But is that going to have loads of more Hellfire stuff, do you think?
How much more X-Men stuff could there be?
Well, I mean, Hellfire. No, I'm talking specifically about Hellfire stuff.
But I mean, for the old... Anyway, yeah. Okay, if it exists.
Nothing but Hugh Jackman, please.
Okay, all right. So we are divided on Emma Frost, but she's got... interesting to hear your thoughts on that. But now we're going to move on to the big one. It's Gladiator! It's pretty exciting to get to this now. Who wants to...
Well, I think you have the most distinct opinion about this one, no?
Do I?
The most wrong opinion, probably.
The most wrong opinion? Really?
You think the rare one's the best?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're putting words in my mouth, but they're not incorrect words. In the sense, so basically the rare is a 4 cost, and they all have the Gladiator Global, which is pay a fist when you attack. Your character dice can't be the target of action dice or global abilities until the end of the turn. All 3 of them have that, and the rare costs 4 and is totally blank. The common costs 5 and has the global and then just intimidate, and the uncommon costs 6 and has Overcrush, and then also a thing relating to Lalandra that's a bit irrelevant, really. But so they're almost like on a sort of sliding scale of useful keywords, you might argue. But I think because his stats are so brilliant, he's a 055166077. I'm certainly drawn by the 4 costs and therefore the rare, just because those stats are fab, and I like the idea of getting them for 4. Yes, please.
I think, unlike the Dark Phoenix, I think probably you're right that most people will play the rare. I think this one is going to have a real mixed bag.
Yeah.
I think that's partially because they're all sort of balanced. I mean, paying the 1 extra for the Intimidate is probably worth it if you're worried about your removal options. Paying the extra 2 compared to the 4 cost blank for the extra Overcrush is probably worth it if you're worried about them shutting down your Overcrushing, whatever it is, Becky.
Yeah.
So they're all sort of worth it in different ways. The secondary text on the uncommon really is what annoys me about it, because I'd want to put a Lilandra on the team.
Right.
Just so I'm not wasting that secondary text.
Yeah. Yeah. So it says when Lilandra is KO'd, put a loyalty counter on Gladiator's card.
And there's a cheap Lilandra.
Yeah, there is a 3
with
cost,
a prep global.
Yeah.
So you're tempted to put that on, and then does that mess up your team? So I'm kind of tempted by all of them. I think I probably would go for if you're going for this team with this global, and you're that kind of terrible person, why not go all out for the Overcrush?
So you're plumping for the uncommon,
so.
Peter?
There was a time when a 6-cost Overcrusher with these stats, but these days that's not as much. But he has the global. I don't know. The 4-cost is tempting because it's a 4-cost with good stats, but then he doesn't have Overcrush. So how are you going to get him through?
Yeah.
So you would have to give him a Overcrush in some other way, probably. I will go with the rare.
Good answer, James.
Intimidate, please.
Oh, you're going for interesting. So we've got a vote.
You can't have too much removal on your team.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm not going to buy the 4-cost probably, and I don't like 6 costs, and I do like Intimidate.
Intimidate is a very useful keyword. I just think in this, the way you're going to build your team, I think you're going to kind of lean towards that Overcrushing.
Yeah.
Just because that's the sort of team it's going to be. But I agree with James that Intimidate also, and just the blank one. Yeah, it's very difficult to decide this one.
It is, and of course there are other ways of getting Overcrush. You can use the Mr. Sinister Global. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And there's obviously Psylocke that gives Overcrush just to 2 costs. So, there are other things that can be done. But, all right, we are divided. We are house divided on that particular card. So, let's move on to Jubilee. And Ben, it's probably only right that you should talk about Jubilee first, given that I think you have particular affection for this character. And there's 4 to choose from.
I particularly like the uncommon. 2 costs. Sorry, no. I can't do this. While we're reading active, Jubilee gets +1 attack. That is terrible. So let's ignore that one.
Yeah.
The common we can probably strike off as well. Maybe energize. If you have less life than your opponent, you may immediately field this die for free at level 2. So effectively, you're always going to be able to field it apart from the 1 energy phase.
Yep.
So you're always guaranteed a character, which is very interesting, but probably not. Don't know. That's kind of good, actually. Anyway,
but it requires
you
having less life.
Your opponent having more life, then
that's true. Yeah, it's not as good as the rare and the super rare. That's where we're having a debate, probably.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna. Well, I don't want to put words in people's mouths. The super rare is probably going to be the people's favorite. So she's the Human Torch. While Jubilee is active, when you field a character die, she deals 1 damage to your opponent and 1 damage to target character die. But I personally am more interested in the rare. While Jubilee is active, when you spend energy from an X-Men die to use a global ability or field a character, you have to deal 1 damage to target opponent or character die.
Yeah.
It's like the Turk Barrett, except you can have multiple different energy types on multiple different globals, and you can also deal damage to your opponent.
Yeah.
Just a secondary damage dealer for that Iceman Turk Barrett team. I think it's going to be very interesting what comes out on top between Turk and this Jubilee for me, because they're both 3-cost bolts. Yeah.
She's definitely got much more flexibility, hasn't she, in the global damage stakes?
And she can also deal the damage directly to your opponent.
To the opponent,
exactly.
Which is big.
Yeah,
for Iceman.
Exactly. So you can just cut out the middleman, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
you
nice.
can also use different types of global as well. You're not limited to just masks. Although Danny Moonstar and mask globals in general work well with her.
But it is contingent on you having a reasonable number of X-Men dice purchased, I would imagine.
True.
It's going to take a little while.
Particularly, I think I'm interested in it because my Iceman team right now, which runs Turk Barrett, runs the Danny Moonstar, which is an X-Men character, so it fits very nicely into that, where I think the Super Rare Jubilee works on multiple different teams.
Yeah. So you're voting for the rare, Ben?
I am, but probably the minority.
Super rare for me. I think I like stuff where I don't have to buy much stuff. And committing to buying other X-Men dice doesn't do it for me. like buying multiple beasts doesn't do it for me either. Whereas Jubilee works with psychics as well as anything else you happen to buy. So,
she does, yeah. I mean, and with things like Mr. Sinister Global and helping you to field more sidekicks and all that jazz, it can soon stack up, can't it? Peter?
Yeah, the super rare is too easy. I like a bit of complication in my teams. It doesn't have to be too.
So you want the uncommon then, presumably?
yes. I'm gonna put Wolverine on my team and make sure my Jubilee gets +1 attack.
Join the green side.
No, the rare. I like the rare. The Jubilee,
I really want to do a team
we've
where
seen that before. It's just a reprint.
Yeah.
Of Human Torch. I like new and interesting abilities.
Yeah.
I want an Iceman team where I run an X-Men with a shield purchase cost. So I can just use the defensive buff global.
Oh, right. Yeah.
On Iceman. So I buff Iceman's defense, ping him for 1. Buff Iceman's defense, ping him for 1. So it's just never ending.
Yeah, that is nice. There's actually a global, spoiler alert, coming that buffs for 2 the defense.
There is. Yeah. There is.
Then you can flip his stats.
Oh, man.
Actually, he'd probably die, but anyway.
And then he dies.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I like the simplicity of the super rare, but the rare is more intriguing. I'll definitely give you that. But I'm gonna. So maybe I'll plump for that.
No one outside of Peter and people who copies Peter's teams, like me, are gonna want the rare of the super rare.
Who wants to kick us off on Magneto, who has 4 different characters because he has another super rare? All 4 of them have the old villainous pact global. Pay a mask once per turn during your turn. If you have no dice in your prep area, you may draw a die and place it in your prep area. Who wants to launch us into Magneto?
James is a Magneto fan, I feel like.
Oh my. I'm just reading them now.
They're lots of text, aren't they?
Yeah, there's lots to absorb. Okay, well, they've all got the global.
Yeah.
Did you just say that?
I did.
Yeah. So that's useful. The one that I remember is the one that was sort of what was it? Vigilante Justice on legs. Is that the super rare?
Yeah, that's the super rare. Yeah.
That's a 6 cost. While Magneto is active, when one of your Brotherhood character dice is KO'd, KO opposing character dice. That should be die, surely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm personally not going to pay 6 for it, but that's just me. Okay. Probably the two in the middle are 5 cost. The rare has Team Watch, spin target opposing character die to an energy face of your opponent's choice. I feel like there are better versions. Isn't the super rare Mystique better than that for less money, probably, so probably not that one. And the uncommon is while Magneto is active, your Brotherhood character dice can only be blocked by 2 or more character dice. Again, for 5, you're not going to be field. It's not going to happen, is it? There are other things like, what's his name? Kang? Does Kang do that? Oh, Kang has something where all of your character dice have to be blocked by 2 or something.
That's right.
I feel like there are more interesting things to do with that, so not that one. Which leaves us with the 6 cost common, which I think probably is my choice. When one of your mask character dice is KO'd, put a loyalty counter on Magneto's card, and in combination with Living the Dream, continuous action die that once you have 3 loyalty counters, gives all of your characters Overcrush and +1 attack and defense forever until it's removed by nothing.
Break.
That would be the thing. That would be the one for everybody, surely. That if you're going to actually buy it, that one. Otherwise, it doesn't much matter. I mean, it does require you putting mass characters on your team, but if you have that sort of team, then that one for sure.
Yeah, because in Magneto, you don't even have to buy it. Is that what, that's how it appeals to you?
Exactly. Yes, that's why I want that.
It does its thing just by virtue of being there. Yeah. Peter, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with James on this one. Because the others they're so expensive, and then you have to KO a bunch of stuff or field a bunch of stuff for them to really work. And the common is you don't even have to buy him, and he's still gonna be a boon.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that.
Just to have a few masked characters, Danny Moonstar, Psylocke,
for example.
Yeah, or any one of the above.
So there's this.
Here's the thing: where it says, here's one for the listeners, where it says while Magneto is active on the uncommon, your Brotherhood character dice can only be blocked by 2 or more character dice. Now, what if you pair that with a force block, but somebody only forces one character to one die to block by using the force block global? What
they can choose not to block.
They can just choose not
in that
to.
situation.
Yeah, fizzles. Yeah.
It's forced to block if able.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if
and
you
it's not able to block on its own,
and then if 2 dice were forced to block, then would they be required to block something together? If somebody attacked with multiple dice,
Presumably not. Yeah. Presumably they could block.
Or they could block with something else as well.
But yeah.
They would have to block with those 2 if you were to attack.
You're saying if you attacked with 2 Brotherhood characters while Magneto was active?
Yes.
And you only force 2 to block?
Yes.
You can probably divide them and then make it fizzle, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's something that the player could do.
Does seem like a bad play.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
So,
no, I think you would have to block one of them then.
You think?
Because they're both forced to block.
They're able to block.
They can block one together.
Yeah, sure. Maybe.
Interesting question for the rules lawyers out there. If you have an answer to this question, please contact James at dmunited.eu.
Hello.
All right.
Excellent. Sorry, please bring us back. Go on.
I think that super rare is so I think the uncommon. I think you're doing the disservice to the secondary ability, which is Team Watch. Prep a die from your bag. I think you could probably prep quite a few dice if you got this out early enough. Again, it's kind of that Captain Marvel problem we had where
exactly and
5
collector. Whoever played those?
I tried it, but if you get it out, by the time you get it out, it's too slow.
Yeah.
But I think that is a good ability, and 5 cost is not that much of a stretch with masks. Depends on the other Brotherhood characters. If you have a Brotherhood character, you're constantly fielding and refielding.
Yeah, and someone did tell me once that there is another character that makes masked characters cheaper to buy. I can't remember what it was called. Is it from one of the rest? I don't know, something like that.
And there's
I think we might have mentioned it on the podcast before.
I'm also going to.
He also has 1, 2, 3 fielding.
Yeah, he does. He's expensive.
Yeah.
But can I give a shout out to the Super? I think the Super Rare is personally my favourite.
Go on.
And I will tell you why. Because it triggers... You can do KOs on your opponent's turn with it.
Yes.
It's removal on your opponent's turn, which is very useful. Because you can you can KO one of your characters on your opponent's turn, which means you can then KO one of theirs. Maybe less useful currently, but I'm thinking especially back in the day when you had to remove Scarlet Witch before the start of your turn. That was very, very powerful. I'm trying to think if there's anything particularly prevalent now that requires you to remove before the start of your turn. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But removal on your opponent's turn is still
Madeline
very good.
Pryor, if you're Nick Wale and you're playing Rush. And
That's true, I suppose. But even
someone has put that Madeline Pryor on their team.
But even stuff like before their attack step, you can KO something before they attack with it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
so I think that is a huge deal. I think removal on your opponent's turn is very hard to come by.
Yeah.
I think people should pay attention when it's available.
Yeah.
Or there are 6 costs, so...
Yeah. Yeah. I think the rare's pretty nice too, to be honest. I mean, Team Watch, spin target opposing character die to an energy phase of your opponent's choice.
That'd be good if there was no Mystique with the same ability.
Yeah.
Too cheaper.
True, yeah.
Yeah, unless you want to play the other Mystique.
All right, so again, we are divided on Magneto. But James and Peter did both vote for the common, so slightly more on that. Shall we move on to Mr. Sinister, which is basically it's
test.
a cornucopia of different abilities, isn't it, really? And basically we're all about the globals here. Now, there are 4 different Mr. Sinister's versions, and all versions have a global, and all of them are different. So the common has pay 2 lightning bolts and target non-psychic character die gains deadly. The uncommon has pay 3 generic, ignore target attacking character dies text until the end of turn. The rare has pay 2, field a sidekick die from your use pile, prep a sidekick from your use pile. And the super rare has pay 3 generic, target character die gains overcrush. Now, these are all interesting in their own way. Peter, what do you think is the best? And indeed, if you want to throw in any of the actual text relating to the character, by all means do.
Yes,
but I think we're mainly about
going on
here.
character texts. I actually like the uncommon best
By
because he has,
far.
when fielded, ignore all text on opposing character cards.
Yeah,
So that is actually good.
yeah, that is.
But looking at the
Prismatic spray on
globals,
legs.
yeah, looking at the globals, I am drawn towards that rare because it's just so good. A2 and field a sidekick and prep a sidekick.
Yeah.
You can do it so quickly as well. It's like pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like I didn't. When you read it, you're like, okay, I know that's functionally better than Atlantis,
Yep.
but the fact
Because that
you don't
requires
have-
specific energy.
Yeah, it requires fist and a shield.
Schist.
Yeah. But the difference between requiring those 2 specific energies versus just 2 generic is so big. It's just like kind of
Yes.
crazy how much that affects it.
Yes.
Yeah, the rare for me as well, based on the global.
James?
No doubt. Yes, that's, and as Peter says, the only one that anyone's ever going to buy is the uncommon, but certainly the rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited by that uncommon global ability. Ignoring target attacking character dies text until the end of turn is pretty cool.
Yeah, cancels an overcrush, doesn't it?
Cancels
For a start?
Overcrush, yeah.
Would it cancel a Green Lantern? No, it wouldn't, though, would it? It would be too late to cancel Green Lantern, wouldn't it, with the Green Lantern human? Because that's an when attack.
Yeah.
Or a Spider-Man, for example, it would be too late for that.
No.
Because, they have to be
in
that global window. But it's mainly for cancelling Overcrush, really, isn't it?
If it was preemptive, it would be way more powerful.
Yeah.
Like you do it before your opponent declares an attack.
That'd be bonkers, but it'd have to cost about 6.
3 is quite a lot.
Oh, 3 is a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
it's a lot.
I'm not tempted to buy the Overcrush granting one.
that is good, but I feel like when you've got it on a character, with Psylocke, I just like the idea of a character doing it because then you can just do it and then get rid of the character and do it again. And the character is obviously having a character is more useful, isn't it? But yeah, I'm with you. I think we are united on this. We are literally DM united here because everybody thinks that mad Prep Global is the best one. So that is the winner there. Not much more required. Should we move on to the penultimate one, Mystique? Ben, do you want to talk us through these?
If I must. So the Mystique, probably the one that everyone's going to gravitate towards initially is a super rare, mainly because it's super rare. It also has that Magneto ability, so 3-cost mask. Team Watch, spin target opposing character dice to an energy face of your opponent's choice.
Yep.
The fact that it's also a Brotherhood as well as villain makes it doubly useful compared to the Magneto, which is just Brotherhood.
Yep.
The common is interesting in that it has a relentless global, although it's paid 2 masks. And it has a funky thing where, so basically you can stop a character from blocking if they share in a team affiliation. So with Radicalization Global, you can also make them sort of have X-Men. So if you had enough energy somehow,
yeah, exactly.
you could functionally make all your opponents characters not be able to block, because you can make them all X-Men, but it would be very, very expensive.
For sure.
Yeah. Then the uncommon reduces damage from your opponent's characters by 1.
Yep.
Which is kind of reprint of the Black Widow, and it's only a 2 cost. It doesn't have the same protection the Black Widow does. In that it can be targeted by globals.
Yep.
So there's only 1 defense. I mean, that's the problem with this Mystique, is it's so weak.
Yeah.
It's so easy to remove.
Although, to be fair, there is no magic missile.
There's no magic missile, yeah.
So
there is a thing, though. There is a...
Yeah, there's the other
one
thing, but then they have to pay life to get rid of it. But if it's just Garrett or Jubilee to do their damage, then she shuts them down, and they can't KO her either. Yeah,
that's true. No. I mean, I think I like the Super Rare the best. I don't particularly like any of these, though. The rare one, just for rounding it out. While Mystique is active, Brotherhood character dice are free to field, and you may field a Brotherhood character die for free. Brotherhood, there's a good Sabretooth, which might make a good Brotherhood team, so this might be useful on that. I think 3 is probably too expensive compared to the effectiveness of her Super Rare and her Uncommon.
Yeah. Peter, what are you plumping for? I keep using that phrase. Sorry. What are you picking?
Yeah, it's just a shame she has such terrible stats. Because it's 102 feeling costs and 1-1.
You'd be so mad about that level 3 2-1-1.
That hurts. Nobody wants to play that.
2-1-1.
So bad. I mean,
my days.
That's why I like the Mystiques that get like a buff from having other stuff, and then they get that worth it with their 2 fielding costs. But this, especially the super rare, because you're just pinging it off with whatever.
Yeah. The fact that they're all like while active effects as well. Like, why can't you give us when fielded would probably be just as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least it would mean that
the
cycling her is easier. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with the uncommon. It's fairly effective.
That secondary ability is probably nothing to sniff at as well.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going for the Brotherhood team, you can get one that's with purchase cost 4 or more from your use pile to your prep if she gets KO'd. So it might be actually a trap to have her low defense, and then they might want to try to KO her, and then you're like, I will prep my...
It's a little bit like it's more of an Iron Fist reprint, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Come think of it than the Black Widow.
It is, yeah. Complete with horrible fielding costs, because
that's true.
His were brutal, aren't they?
He had better defense, though. Much better.
For sure, yeah. James, are you? Where does your vote go here?
Yeah, I'll go with the uncommon as well. Nice to have an alternative to Black Widow.
Yes.
Hang around
or you could run both and reduce damage by 2.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Does anyone think that the fact that your opponent chooses what energy phase they spin to is a deal? It makes it worse,
especially with Mr. Sinister.
For sure, yeah.
Getting the 2 extra energy.
Yeah.
Because effectively, you don't want to spin out a sidekick right at this point.
No, because you get a question mark.
Yeah.
Because usually you just pick, a shield or something that
it's not useful. Yeah.
That's not useful in the game in terms of a global.
That's why I think I like the Super Rare more, because I feel like when people play it against me, because I'm never going to play any of these, but I feel like I enjoy playing against Super Rare more because I get to choose what energy. It'd give me extra energy. That's how I feel about it. So I like it.
You're choosing that because that's the one you'd like to face the most.
Everyone use that one.
Very good. All right, well, let's move on to our final one, shall we? Which is Vulcan. Peter, do you want to talk to us about Vulcan? Again, it's another character that comes in a 4, 5, 6 cost variety. All of them have the same global, which is Pair Fist. Target character die must attack this turn. Which one are you considering to be the best?
I am gravitating towards the rare. The 6 cost, he says, while active, your opponent's non-fist characters get -2 defense.
Right.
I mean, they all have the global to pay fist target character that I must attack this turn.
Mhm.
So that can be used against him, of course. But we remember this ability from back in the day on Angelo Fortunato, and it can be devastating because all of your opponent's sidekicks are die as soon as they get fielded.
Yeah.
A lot of their other stuff is going to die as soon as it gets fielded. It can be crippling.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, the
forecast is only vanilla. So.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to be much in the
For some reason, I've liked Vulcan stats better than I like. It doesn't make any sense in any stretch of anything, but I like it when the attack is more than the defense. I don't know why, but I like that better. I like 6-5. 165 is better to me in my brain than 077. I don't know why.
Really? That is very.
I don't know why.
Something wrong with your brain.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No.
And are you a big fan of that? What is it? The Yu-Gi-Oh! Goblin Squad or whatever it was. That's got like the completely.
That's too much of a disparity.
Bonkers.
Like
this is a nice
or something.
Yeah.
Was it Goblin Attack Force? Is it Goblin Attack Force?
8-1.
That's right.
Yeah. That was
Yeah. All right. Ben, which Vulcan do you like best?
Probably the rare. I mean, the rare is by far the better. The uncommon is decent, and I like the common just because for some reason I really like his stat line. That to me is like the sneaky stat line. I don't know why. But ignore the ability to carry dice blocking or blocked by Vulcan is very useful.
Yeah.
Probably not on a character with a force attack as much because you kind of wanted a defensive dude.
It's sort of got built-in removal.
Yeah.
I mean, for a 5, I mean, what's the main thing you're going to use it for? It's going to be
defense against Overcrush.
Overcrush, exactly. Yeah. So for that, he is quite expensive, being 5, because there's all things like Jopper and Mastermind and Poison Ivy that essentially do the same thing.
And there's not anything really you would want to, because also you're not blanking it, you're ignoring it, right? That's different, right?
Yeah.
No, ignoring is blanking.
Okay, is it? Okay, so there might be something where you want to blank there. I don't know what it would be, but I'm thinking if they had, for some reason, the Mr. Sinister global out, you could block them as Sinister and stop them from using global abilities or something like that. Oh, that's very tenuous.
That would be.
Do you know what I mean? But there must be something that it would, a niche case, but in general, that rare is going to be very, very effective.
You could use it against Iceman. If you force Iceman to block and then you block with Vulcan, he does nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, right? Where force Iceman to attack.
Yeah, into Vulcan. Yeah,
into Vulcan, and you block with Vulcan, and then Iceman.
You can do it the other way around as well, where you attack with Vulcan and force Iceman, so they can't do anything on your turn as well.
Yeah, but then you need a force block and a force attack.
But you got the force attack. You're all right on that.
Force attack anyway with Vulcan.
Yeah. James, your pick is?
It's a no-brainer. It's the rare.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, I have to say.
Well, I thought that'd be a bit more interesting there.
Well, that is our little 10. Were there any that we missed? Are there any that you feel we got a bit wrong? We did. Well, there wasn't very many that we all voted for. Mr. Sinister was one of the few where we all picked the same one. But what do you think on the ones that we've selected? Do let us know by using the contact details at the end of the show. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next segment. Okay, so there is another two-team takedown online tournament that's about to get underway, run by kind of maybe slightly expanded team from DM North, who have been putting together this revised version of the two-team takedown. Peter, do you want to just very briefly explain what the format is for anybody who's not familiar with two-team takedown?
Well, for this particular two-team takedown, because the traditional two-team takedown was slightly different, but for this, you basically build two teams, and they cannot share a single card or name. and you play both teams against your opponent, and you have to win with both teams to actually win. And if you win one team, you have to switch to the other team.
Yeah.
That is it in a nutshell.
That is pretty it, yeah. So you normally play, it's like a best of 3, isn't it? And you have to beat your opponent with both of your different teams in order to win the match. And it's a really interesting format because of the card limitations and the way that you have to sort of build around not having, you can't just put Becky Lynch on both of your teams or Drax or whatever. So it does make it much more interesting, and it's an online tournament featuring, well, this is limited to 32 players, isn't it, this time, and it is a full complement of 32. I think 3 out of the 4 of us are playing this time around, me, Ben, and James.
You should have made them guess which one's not. You would be wrong.
Yeah, James, you'll be dusting off your old dice, won't you? And
unrolling my dice mat.
Yeah, no, it's good that you're getting back into some competitive action, and he's going straight forward. So we thought we'd have a bit of a chat about the what things we think will kind of rule the roost this time around, because obviously it's a brand new meta. This is the first time that there's been a big tournament with Dark Phoenix Saga expansion being legal. So guys, what do we think? What are the kind of top line things that we reckon are gonna be up there, Ben, this time around?
Not Master Mold, anything but that.
Okay.
Let's just choose my team, shouldn't I?
Well,
is the
I have had a quick look over the teams. There's lots and lots of Master Molds, lots of Beckys, a few God Catchers. I think I'm the only person playing, and lots of Thors. But I think that's an incidental. He's the global guy.
Yeah.
And then backup thing for God Catcher teams. No Icemans apart from mine. But I think there's several interesting things in that. So one's interesting for me, one's interesting for everyone else probably. The first thing that's interesting to everyone is that there's a couple of Stone of Galore teams, right? Which is or Eldritch, the Eldritch Blast, is that what it's called?
Yeah. Which
is the one where you draw a die from your bag and you deal damage equal to the purchase cost to your opponent using the 12 cost Supreme Intelligence. So if you draw the 12 cost Supreme Intelligence, you can deal obviously 12 damage.
Ouch.
Which is an interesting. I'm interested to see how those do. The second thing that's interesting to me is that everyone, like loads and loads of people, an offensive amount, are using Danny Moonstar.
Right.
Getting on the
bandwagon. I'm very sad about. Yeah. Leave my Danny alone. Just leave her. Because she is very annoying to play against. Danny Moonstar, obviously, when you attack with Danny Moonstar, you re-roll her. The characters blocking her, and if they roll an energy, they deal 2 damage. The secret is out on Danny. I think she's everywhere. That's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, no, we've just been talking about her too damn much, Ben. That's the problem.
Yes, sir.
On this particular podcast.
This is
the
on
cat is out of the bag.
Ben.
Yeah. We should explain that basically what's happened is at the time of recording, people have submitted their teams and they've just been published.
Yeah.
But the tournament is due to get underway, well, on Monday, which should be the day that this episode comes out. So then the tournament lasts 5 weeks, I think, and there will be 5 rounds of Swiss to determine who is the winner. James, what are you expecting to see, and what do you think? What cream will rise to the top? Do you believe?
I've got the faintest idea. I decided to take part because I thought it was time to get back on the horse, at least to give it a go. I haven't played for a long time, and the first time I thought about this was yesterday. And I thought about it quite a lot yesterday, and realised I hadn't got a clue. So I loaded up with a bunch of cheese, which looks like it might be quite fun to play with. And I did actually roll it out. I sort of theory crafted the teams in my head to the best of my abilities, which wasn't Wasn't a high level of team building, I have to say. And then quite late in the day, I got them to my mat and started pulling dice and rolling out, 3-turn theory and all that, and everything changed, obviously, because what seemed to work in my head, in reality didn't. I'm not very good at doing the first 3 turns in my head, I think. I found it really... Anyway, so I rolled them out, and so, I've got that much, at least. And it looks like it might be, either I'll just get completely trashed, or I'll trample somebody, or I have no idea what's good and what isn't, to be honest. I didn't include some cards that I thought I would, so I don't think that I have... I wanted to put Vulcan on, the rare, and I don't think that made the cut in the end. Mm-hmm. And unbelievably, I don't have the Gladiator Global anywhere.
Wow.
It's surprising. I know. Yeah, there's a lot of Gladiator Global.
I figured that other people might bring it for me, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty likely.
The other thing I noticed, so I'm not using any Dark Phoenix cards, but a couple of other ones I did notice were Psylocke and Colossus.
Right.
Quite prominent on a few teams. I mean, this is not official. This is me just clicking through the teams.
You're randomly seeing
in about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's interesting.
About 10. Yeah. Lots of Psylocke, lots of Colossus.
I think someone is working on official numbers.
Yeah, someone is.
We don't have them yet.
Very
but
good.
Obviously,
very good.
You can't use proxies because I don't like it. It doesn't look nice.
Oh, I'm using shed loads of them.
It is fully allowed.
You are. Yeah, but I'm using that as my excuse when I use.
The good thing
is TPS.
The good thing about this set is that almost all of the dice are proxyable, because they're basically leaning on characters that have been used numerous times before. Gladiator, sadly, is one that does not have a proxy.
It's just there for the global anyway.
Which is a bit sad, but
you're not going to be buying it, are
you? Peter, what are your thoughts in terms of what will best the rest?
I think that Becky is just going to win it all anyway. She's still probably the best card.
Yeah.
Are we all running Becky? Or are you running Becky's? You're not running Becky?
Nope.
I've got a Becky, but she's not meant to be the win con.
I salute you for not
just
running
for the
Becky.
Global.
Yeah, I threw Becky on as a backup for my Iceman Danny team.
Okay, that is fair.
Yeah,
but still, I think Becky is still definitely a contender. She might be even more of a contender with all the new globals and stuff. So, I think a lot of people are going to try Master Mold. We will have to see how that goes. I don't know. But I do like that Stone of Galore with the Supreme Intelligence. I hope that works, because I like that.
Yeah. It's like
you know what? I don't. It's not my sort of thing at all.
It's not combat damage.
Obviously, I've got a Master Mold team, and I intend to just pop out as many bloody Sentinels as I can. That's about as far as my strategy goes.
I know.
We've talked about that before. I think that is very limited in its effectiveness.
No, I don't care. I just want to pop them out.
You can get a lot out pretty quick.
You can. Yeah, you can for sure. They can snowball pretty quickly. I mean, I would agree in the sense that it's difficult to look beyond Becky as a major staple on one of the teams, just because of all the things we talked about her before. But yeah, it will be interesting to see whether any other things do rise to the top. I think Master Mold, we will see.
The other thing is that we're allowed to change in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, just one card on each team.
Interesting how that affects things. And the fact that Godcatcher and Becky and Master Mold all operate using the same globals kind of structure with the Gladiator. So people have to work out things like Nefarious Broadcast, I think, will be back in play.
It promises to be a lot of fun, so keep an eye out for that. We can put a link actually to the challenge. Well, the challenge and or the DM United, DM North website, just so you can follow what's going on there if you want to.
Yeah, there's a nice, very clear. I must compliment them on their webpage. Very good.
Yes, it's excellent. They've done a great job. So thank you, DM North, for running that, and we look forward to getting involved on the action over the next few weeks. Let's move on, shall we, to our last little segment. Okay, so we just got a little bit of AOB and other bits and bobs to round up before we go. And the first thing is in the last episode, which seems like ages ago now because we did miss a episode over Easter, but we talked about the super rares and the basic action cards from the Dark Phoenix Saga expansion, and we asked you to vote for we originally intended, I think, to ask you for the super rare that you were most excited about playing from this set, but then because we talked about basic action cards, they kind of got mushed into the vote as well, which sort of confused things a little bit. But probably nobody in the world will be surprised to discover that out of all the super rares that are available in the Dark Phoenix Saga expansion, the one that you are the super rare that you are most excited about playing is
Cyclops.
No, actually, it was it was Gobby. No, strangely enough, it was Master Mold. I don't think anybody was shocked at all about that. Virtually nothing else even hardly got voted for. I think Living the Dream basic action card came second in the vote.
Rightly so.
Because, that does actually look like fun. And I hope to be able to build a team around that when we finally get some Dark Phoenix Saga stuff over this side of the Atlantic. We are rubbing our hands with glee. So, yeah, Master Mold it was. I don't think Ben voted for that, did you, Ben?
I don't know. I think I voted for maybe the Psylocke or the Cyclops. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cyclops was yours. Yeah.
I like Cyclops. Yeah. I like the Lilander as well. There are some good super rares. Ken?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there are some fun ones. I mean, it's a weird, isn't it? That because there were hardly any that you get, and you think, oh, I really didn't want that.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I don't know about that. I think there's, I don't know. Yeah, this is it's an okay slate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are no really, really bad ones apart from
not like Infinity Gauntlet.
No, exactly. Yeah. Or I don't know, UXM or something. There were some real horrors there. But
yeah. These are only 4 there.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. We should talk a little bit about Dice Fight. James, what's going on Dice Fight?
Dice Fight, Danny and Rick fighting a good fight. And the next event up is Legacy, if I'm not mistaken, with the timing of this podcast. I suppose that would be the 5th. Does that sound about right? And that's Legacy number 1 million, I think. But of course, there's been an injection of Dark Phoenix Saga, so there's plenty, I think, fresh to choose from there.
Well, half of them have been deleted already because they were in the previous Legacy, I think.
Really?
Yeah, they were in the last one, but they're not going to all have gone, presumably.
A lot of the good stuff is gone already.
Really? Okay. Don't say that. Shh.
There's still plenty
and the one
of
after that, I think so, yeah. The one after that is a draft of Dark Phoenix, an online draft.
Exciting.
So it's just as well that things are proxyable.
Yes.
Since it's not showing any signs, at least in Slovakia, and I guess elsewhere, it's not showing any signs of appearing in the near future. But that will be fun. I like online drafts. Actually, I could do a bit of that. It's about time I got back to that as well.
For sure, guys. Yeah. Well, we should do one. We should do a DM United draft, as we did indeed with Infinity Gauntlet, if I remember rightly.
You should whenever it comes out.
When we discovered how good Kang was, and
that went well.
Yeah, that was Yeah, that was good. So yes, Dice Fight is Thursday nights, 9 p.m. UK time, 10 p.m. Central European time, and wherever you are in the world, it'll be a different time, but you can work that one out. And it's basically an online tournament. There's no prizes. It's normally 3 rounds with the theme that James suggested. And if you want to get involved, then do knock on to the Discord channel, which we can put a link to in the show notes. Other than that, I think that is the end of this episode of DM United. It's been great to have you with us over the last hour or so. We hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to get in touch and let us know your views on anything related to what we've talked about today, or indeed anything else that's going on in the wider Dice Masters world, then you can send us an email, James, at
hello@dmunited.eu.
You do that so well. And otherwise, drop us a message on Facebook or any other social media platform that you might want to choose. There's a few out there. If you are able to like, review, and say something nice about us using your favorite podcaster app, we would be very grateful. And of course, you can subscribe and be the first to know about a new episode dropping. But it's been great to have you with us, and we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.